Hello and welcome back. In this episode we are going to talk about how to deploy our project and set up Cloudflare. In the very beginning we're going to have a look at Bitbucket and how to set up the pipelines in your project. Here we are back in our project. On the left side we see we have two new files. One is for the Bitbucket Pipelines and another one is our deploy script. Before we continue to talk about the deployment, I want to show you one important bit. When you're creating your server, for example I did it on Hetzner, please make sure to create a deploy user that only has access to Docker and no sudo rights. The whole pipeline is quite short. The reason behind this is that we just SSH into our server and then we just open up our deploy script. So let's have a look at our deploy script. In the beginning we declare some variables, then we continue to move to the path we would like to deploy our project, and then we just fetch our newest origin and check out our main branch. And the very last step would be that we call our normal start project script and everything else will be done automatically. Here you can see my last successful runs of the pipeline. The pipeline takes around 30 to 60 seconds, depending on how many workflows and credentials you have. But in reality, we don't have 30 to 60 seconds of downtime because we just instantly restart the container. So it might be less than that. But for me, it was never a real issue. After you set up the pipelines, your project is ready on the server. So we still need to connect it to a domain to be reachable from the outside. To do so, we need to extend our Docker Compose via a Cloudflare Tunnel. You can set up your own tunnel when you log into Cloudflare and then go into the left menu to networking, and down below you will find tunnels. If you decide to go with the same approach as I did, you need to make sure to add one more variable in our Docker Compose. Just add the n8n proxy hops and set it to 1, that you make sure that your HTTPS still works. After you set up your pipelines and your tunnel, your project should be reachable. But now we have one more thing that we need to add. Here is a simple demonstration on what we need to block in Cloudflare. We want to allow our webhook path to be accessible from anywhere, or at least our applications that need to reach it. All other parts of our application need to be blocked. For example, the dashboard where you can log in should not be accessible from outside. And maybe you also have the need for some internal webhooks that still need to be only accessible from your local network. So we are also going to talk about how to set up that. The first thing we need to do is to limit the bot access to our n8n application. Bots like crawlers will make executions on webhooks, so we really need to limit them. For example, you can set up this simple Cloudflare rule, which does not block every bot, but it's just an example. Here we are just looking for our domain name and then check if it's a bot, and then we chose the action to block it. After we set up the security rule for the bot protection, we also need to make sure that our application is secure from attacks. One of the most important things is to limit all of the requests to only webhooks. You simply do that by checking for your domain name, then check if the domain does not start with the webhook path or is not equal to your local address. Then it should block. Be sure to also add this, that you are always able to access your dashboard to make some changes on production if needed. This is another example of what I really like to do. Sometimes you not only want some webhooks that should be public, but sometimes you also have internal webhooks. So you also need to make sure that you block them from the outside. Keep in mind to also add your Cloudflare tunnel token to the end file. Basically, I've shown you all of the decision points now, and now let's run a final example on how the workflow looks. Here we are in our local environment, and this is our production environment. As you see, we have one more workflow locally. So let's start to open our scripts folder and run the export function. Afterwards, you commit to your develop branch or your feature branch, and then you simply merge to your master or main branch. Afterwards, you push and the pipeline will do the rest. I just did all of that locally, so let's refresh the page. And as you see, our workflow is now successfully imported into our production system. Thank you very much for watching this project and following along. For a short recap, we set up our repo, added our Docker files to it, and set up Postgres correctly. Afterwards, we made it possible for credentials and workflows to be versioned in Git. And as a last step in this video, we deployed our application and secured it via Cloudflare to have only the paths accessible from outside that we really want to. I hope this series helped you, and I have some more information to share. If you are interested, I could also do a second series where I will show you how to set up a GDPR compliant bot and tell you more about guardrails and prompt injection security. In addition to that, I could also build upon that and then show you how to use AI to categorize all of your incoming requests and then basically have an AI assistant that can tell you automatically what issues you have with your current website or platform, or what knowledge or structural thing is missing in your bot. Until then, I hope you can build something nice with all the knowledge you got from this course. See you next time. Ciao.